Europe is getting ready to regulate artificial intelligence. The European Commission presented its proposal for regulation in 2021, and the European Parliament published its first interim report in April 2022. The discussions are ongoing and the stakes are enormous. At this stage, there is no doubt that Europe will be the first continent to regulate AI. But in fact, we'll still need to find an approach that addresses the problems created by AI while preserving innovation in Europe. In this video, I want first to explain the logic of the AI Act, and second, explore how to improve it. As it stands, there is every reason to believe that the AI Act will resemble the General Data Protection Regulation, also known as GDPR. GDPR has been the subject of numerous empirical studies that have found a negative impact on innovation in Europe, especially for startups. The latest study, GDPR and the Lost Generation of Innovative Apps, estimates that 1/3 of mobile apps disappeared upon its implementation. Like GDPR, the AI Act will apply to a large number of companies operating in Europe. There are indeed two over-inclusive conditions to fall within the scope of the AI Act. First, the company must use an AI system such as defined by the European Commission. The definition of AI is very broad. AI includes machine learning systems, but also expert systems, logic and knowledge-based approaches, and statistical calculations. Two, the company must operate in a risky sector such as defined in the regulation. The riskier the sector, the heavier the regulation. For example, companies operating in high-risk areas such as health and education will have to submit their AI systems to national bodies for validation before the system is released, whenever it is substantially modified, and every 5 years. Now, how to improve AI in a way to address the issues while maintaining European innovation? I propose the AI Act combines the sectorial regulation promoted by the European Commission with a technical approach that looks at how AI works. Here's why. Not all AI systems present the same degree of risk. For example, supervised learning systems allow for the automation of tasks while controlling the results. A company can train a supervised systems to differentiate between cats and dogs. Once the training is completed, the system will be able to differentiate between cats and dogs every time a new picture is submitted to it. So, supervised systems are very unlikely to drift. On the contrary, the risk is much heavier for deep learning systems that allow for the machine to sort the data according to categories that are not predefined. To come back to my example, the system could classify pictures of cats and dogs according to their skin color, their size, etc. These classifications can be useful, but they can also be inappropriate and lead to all kinds of discrimination. Deep learning is therefore in itself much riskier than a supervised learning system. Okay, let me demo all that. What you see here is GPT-3, a language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. If I task the system to create a list of 3 questions for my interview with the rock band, it will do so. Now, shall I reduce the randomness of the AI to get closer to a supervised system? GPT-3 will keep on reproducing the same questions over and over again. But if I let the machine explore more randomness, we see that GPT-3 starts asking different, more creative questions. And every time I will generate the order, GPT-3 will come up with a list of different questions. These new questions can be better than the previous ones, but they can also be racist, sexist, etc. This short demo shows that the actual design of an AI system may have different risk degrees. So I trust that you will agree with me that it is actually less risky to use an AI supervised system in health or education than to use a deep learning system with full randomness in video games or other sectors. That explains why I propose European institutions combine their sectorial approach with a more technical approach. More specifically, I propose that only the companies that operate in a high-risk sector and uses a creative AI system such as deep learning should be subject to the strictest obligations. There is no need to put such a heavy burden on other companies. In turn, I believe that by adopting this double approach, AI risk will be equally reduced and innovation in Europe will be further protected. Thank you for your attention. Take care of yourself and if you can, someone else too. Cheers.